Hello, everyone, and welcome to this SAS Explore breakout session. SAS and Microsoft 365, an excellent partnership. My name is Sasha Karpinski, and I'm a product manager here at SAS, working on SAS for Microsoft 365. And joining me today is Tim Beasy, who is going to introduce himself right now.
Hey, I'm Tim Beasy. I'm a principal software engineer. I'm the lead developer for SAS for Microsoft 365, and I've been working on SAS and add-ins for over 20 years.
Thanks, Tim. At SAS, we're passionate about making analytics available to everyone, everywhere. And what better way to do that than by bringing the power of SAS directly to some of the most popular productivity applications today? Millions of people use Microsoft 365 ecosystem to accomplish work with their teams each day. SAS for Microsoft 365 allows you to seamlessly access your SAS Viya environment from within familiar Microsoft productivity tools and leverage insights powered by SAS to take your Office documents to the next level. And we really mean analytics everywhere. SAS for Microsoft 365 is available on both web and desktop Microsoft products, as well as on your Mac. You might have already joined us earlier today for the super demo. And if so, welcome back. This breakout session will build on top of that and showcase even more exciting new features. You'll see how you can access and interact with your SAS Visual Analytics reports and embed those visual insights into your Excel worksheets, PowerPoint presentations, and Outlook appointments. And then we'll show you how you can easily work with SAS data in your Excel worksheets, as well as how you can upload your own Excel data directly to SAS Viya. We know you love your Microsoft products that you use every day to get your work done. And we also know that you love the analytical insights SAS brings to your business. With SAS for Microsoft 365, we're bringing the analytics directly to where you work every day for one seamless experience. With that, let's dive in. Tim, take it away.
Thank you, Sasha. Okay, we are over in Excel. You all know how to use Excel. You've been using it for years. I'm going to show you how to use SAS within Excel. Once your administrator deploys SAS for Microsoft 365, you'll see a SAS tab show up in Excel. That's it, it's there. You can click on SAS and you can see our ribbon. From here, you click on Home, and that will open our app in a task pane. Once you authenticate, it'll open our app all the way, and you'll see that we are running over here. We're just a regular SAS Viya 4 web app like all the other web apps, only we run inside of Office instead of directly in the browser. So let's take a quick little look around here. We've got a Home tab. It shows your favorite reports. It shows which reports you've accessed recently or which tables you've accessed recently, and it can also show you what you currently have open. You can view these in tile view or in list view. You can also go to a Reports tab to browse for a report or to the Data tab to browse for data. We're going to start off today by browsing for a report, so we'll go to the Reports tab. We'll navigate through our folders and open this report. This will open and show the same report that you would see if you were using SAS Visual Analytics. All of the interactions are functional. You can view the different pages of the report. You can see all the data, and it's right here inside of Excel. Since we're running inside of a task pane, space can be a little limited, so we want to get this content out of the task pane and over into your worksheet. That way it becomes part of your Excel document. So let's start by looking at this bar chart down here. It's a little tight on space, but I can go to this Object menu, and I can insert it into the document. I'll click that, and now we see this graph right here in the Excel document. I can change the size. I like nice long bars so we can see the differences really well. And once I've resized it to the exact size that I want, I can go back to this item and update it in the document. Now that we know which size you want the image, we will generate a new image that matches the size exactly. But Excel, at its heart, is a spreadsheet application. So we want to get some data into this worksheet, one of these tables from this report. So we'll move our selection down here, and let's find a table. We can go to Purchase Details. This shows a table. It's got about 1,100 rows, and we want to insert this into the document. Now this is interactive, so if I click on one of these warehouses, it'll filter this data to show just the data for that warehouse. Let's try that for the California warehouse here. I'll click that. We see this update, and now it has 334 rows. Perfect. I'll click on my object menu and insert this into the document, and now you can see we've got all this data from the table inside your document. This is Excel displaying the SAS data. SAS provides all the numbers, Excel does the display. Since Excel is doing the display, this is just regular old Excel content now. We can do all the cool things Excel can do, like add some data bars to these numbers. Let's also go over here and add a color scale. Now, once we have this content inside the worksheet, the add-in remembers where we put it and what it was. So if your data changes, then you can update and get the latest data from SAS right here in your worksheet. If you change one of your filters, like let's switch to the Georgia warehouse here. See these numbers here changed? I can click on Update and Document. And if you watch over here, you'll see all the new numbers from SAS get dropped into the worksheet, but we keep all of that Excel formatting that you worked on. This lets you get all the intelligence and power of SAS Analytics, but with the display capabilities of Excel. So I think this is a pretty cool report. I'd like to send this over to Sasha so she can take a look at it. So I'm going to open up a new email message, and I'm going to use the add-in inside of Microsoft Outlook to send this report over to her. So we'll start by sending her the email. And I'll say, check out this report. Next, I want to use the SAS add-in to access this report. If you look up here on the ribbon, we have a SAS group with SAS Home on there. If I click on that, we'll open up the same task pane that you saw inside of Excel. Once we're authenticated, we can now see on our recent reports list that we recently accessed this report. So I'll open it from there. This will open the same report, same view that we had when we were inside of Excel. It even remembers your state. We had Georgia as the selected warehouse, and we were looking at the purchase details. So the first thing I may want to show is just include a link to this report so that she can go out and click on that link. It'll take her straight to SAS Visual Analytics where she can view the report there. I can do that by hitting this Insert Report Link button. And at that point now, we have our link here. That's just a link to SAS Visual Analytics where the report can be opened. This purchase history chart is another interesting piece of data here. I'd like to send that and maybe include that directly in the email. So from here, I can just click on the object menu and say Insert in Message. And we will include that chart right there in the email. Now, there's a lot of different objects inside of this report. Maybe they're all interesting, and I want to show her the entire report, but I don't want to insert all of these into the email body. To do that, I can go up, or to avoid that, I can attach the entire report as a PDF. So I'll click on that, and that will generate a PDF for me. I can choose different options. We'll take out the appendix. We can go over here, look at the document setup. We can choose the paper size, the margins. And when I click OK, we will generate a PDF on the server, attach it to this email message that represents the entire report. There we go. The PDF has been generated. Now let's send this email over to Sasha. Sasha, can you open your Outlook inbox and take a look at this report?
Okay, so I've got Outlook pulled up and I'm opening the email that Tim sent over. You can see that we have the SAS Visual Analytics report link here, and then down below is the embedded content. as well as the attached PDF. So let's take a look at what that looks like. All right, so let me scroll through this PDF version of the report. You can see that there's a page dedicated to each section of the report. And it's just another great way to share all of these analytical insights with your team. The next thing I want to do is log into SAS on my end. And the cool thing here is that once I'm logged in, any linked reports in my email will automatically load to the Results tab. And this makes it super easy for me to start exploring this report immediately. So hopefully you can see how powerful this integration is in bringing analytic-driven insights to users where they work every day. And to share these insights with an even broader audience, SAS for Microsoft 365 will soon provide integration with PowerPoint. So Tim, would you like to give us a sneak peek of what that looks like?
Sure, let's take a look at PowerPoint. Just like in Excel, you'll see a SAS tab inside of PowerPoint when you have SAS for Microsoft 365 deployed. So if we click on there, we can see our Home button, and we'll click that to open up the same task pane in PowerPoint that you would see in Excel. From here, we have a Home and a Reports tab, and you can see that I've recently opened this report. So let's continue to work with this report. We'll open it up here, and what I'm going to want to do is get this content from the report into my presentation. So let's make a new slide. Let's set it to be a blank layout, and we will pick up where we left off. We're looking at this report. Let's go ahead and insert this bar chart into the PowerPoint presentation. I can click on there and say Insert in Document, and we drop it right into your document. This shows the Georgia warehouse. So let's say that you're about to give your presentation, and your boss comes in and tells you, sorry, we're not doing the Georgia warehouse today, we're working with the Texas warehouse. All your data for this presentation could be the wrong data. Since you've got the SAS add-in though, it's very easy to go and update this data. I can just change my filter over here for Texas. That updates this bar chart, and I can come here and say Update in Document, and you'll see we updated our text and our chart to show the new Texas data. Very easy, just a couple quick clicks of your mouse, and you can get new data provided by SAS for your presentation. And the same could be true if you just needed to get the latest data from the server. You reopen the report, update your elements again, and they all contain the latest up-to-date information from SAS without you having to change the way you've built your presentation. Something else to point out here is you can go to one of these elements and you can unlink from SAS. That breaks the links between the content in the presentation and your report. Now, why would you want to do this? Perhaps you want this to be the final copy of the report and you don't want it to change anymore. Then you could unlink the content from SAS and it's just a PowerPoint presentation. Or maybe you want to do something different. Like say you want to compare the data between the Texas warehouse and the Georgia warehouse. You can do that by clicking back and forth and looking at the different values in this chart, but you can't see them side by side the way this report was built. So we're going to do that with SAS for Microsoft 365 in our PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to try to put these two things side by side. So first I'm going to scoot this one over to the right, and size it up so that it's about half the size of the slide. I'll resize this and move it over there, and I will update in Document so I get a nice new image. Now we know exactly where you had this, what size it was, so we generate that image of the proper size and we keep it in the same position. Now, since this is in its final state, I want to unlink it from SAS. Now this is no longer something we can update. This is just an image and some text in PowerPoint. And if I come over here, I get the Insert in Document, so I can insert this object again. I'll do that right now, and now we insert it in the slide. So I can change my size a little bit and update in document. And now, I will change this to Georgia because that's what we're actually trying to do here. Let's update that again. Now we've got the Georgia data and the Texas data side by side in your PowerPoint slide. So you can continue to expand and explore the data in your SAS Visual Analytics reports in PowerPoint or Excel using the Unlink from SAS capability. That's what I have to show for PowerPoint. And now let's go back to Excel. So I showed you how you can open reports in Excel and Outlook and PowerPoint, how you can explore that information and share it with your coworkers. But you can also work with data directly. Let's take a look at that now. Let's go to the Data tab, and from here we can browse different types of data. If you've cataloged your tables with SAS Information Catalog, you can search through all those catalog tables, find the information or the data set that you want to open, and continue to work with that. You can also go over to All Tables, and from here you can go to your different SAS Compute libraries and browse through different data sources in there. You can also go to your CAS libraries, and you can browse through your data sources there. For this example, I'm going to go to my public CAS lib, and I'm going to find this end wave sales detail data set, and I'll open it. And we don't actually open the data quite yet. We give you some information about the data, but we are going to get this data over into our worksheet. So I'll go ahead and open a new worksheet and be ready for that. So we tell you that there are 1,000 rows, and we're going to insert 100 of them. Now, 1,000 rows isn't a lot in the grand scheme of data, but we'd like to provide a smaller size of the data that you can page through to look at it in a chunk by chunk, rather than opening a whole bunch of data all at once. So let's insert those first 100 rows. We'll use the row number as well. We'll display the table name and the filter that we're applying, even if we don't have one yet. Once we have our options set, I can click Insert into the document, and you'll see we get our table name up here, as well as all of the data into the worksheet. Once the data is in the worksheet, we can scroll through it, and you'll see we do have 100 rows of data being shown. From here, I can click on Next Page, and that'll take us to the next 100 rows of data, and you can browse through those inside of Excel. So this lets you page forward and page back and kind of look at the data in manageable chunks. And at any point in time, you can always go over here to your task pane, choose your start row, the number of rows you want to see, click this Update button, and we will update with the size that you specified. So looking at this data a little bit now, I can see it's got a whole bunch of columns. I scroll off to the right. There's a bunch of columns here. I'm not even sure what the data there means. I got to create a report on this data, and I only want to limit it to a certain number of columns. So we can do that by going over to our Columns tab here. And we can see there's 44 columns. We have them all selected by default. But let's turn that off, and let's just pick a few that make sense for what I'm going to show today. So we'll put some information about the customer, some information about the product they're looking at, and how much they paid for it. Once we have our columns selected, I click Update, and we will update your document with just the columns that you wanted to see. This is SAS data coming over into Excel. So just like with reports, you can do all those cool Excel things with it. Like let's insert a formula this time. We can see how much you paid versus maybe what the product price is. And that way we can see if maybe you got a discount of a certain cost, or maybe some items were overpriced at the time you bought them. This is Excel providing the formula, but SAS providing all the data that feeds into it. So let's start to filter this data down a little bit now. Let's drill into it and explore and maybe try to find some information that we want. For that, we'll go to the Filter tab. Now here I can choose an expression builder, where I could say, let's look at everything with a product category equal to men's sports. I can validate that to make sure my where clause is okay. It is. And I can update in the document. And you'll see that now we get all the data where it's equal to men's sports. We even show you that filter information up here above the table. But if you want to do any complex filters, MySQL is not that good. I want to do it with more point and click. So let's reset this and go and look at our graphical builder. This is a point and click filter builder where I can say which column I want to filter on. Let's do that product category again. And now I can add a filter for it. I can choose my condition, leave it as equal to, and I can type in a value. If I'm not sure what the exact value should be, I can click over here to do a lookup. This will find the distinct values within that column and generate the filter for you. I consider myself a man of leisure, so I will click that one and say OK, and it puts the filter in here for me. I'll update, and now we'll see product category will equal men leisure. When it comes to clothes, I do consider myself to be fairly cheap, so let's add another filter and look for some cheaper priced items. We'll go to the product price. We will add a condition of less than or equal to, and we'll set 1,000 in there. I'll hit update again, and we'll see now that the product price for all of my returned rows are less than 1,000. We're still showing just the first 50 rows, and all this filtering, all the sorting is all done on the server. So all that computation work is not done in Excel, it's done on the server on the entire data set. I may want to decide now, I want to look for the absolute cheapest item I can get. So let's go over here to the sort tab, and we'll add a sort. And I want to sort by the product price. I can choose ascending or descending. I want to see those cheap items up top, so I'll leave it as ascending. I will click update one last time, and now we will see the cheapest items have been sorted to the top. And I can even see that they're on sale. Someone paid less than the product price, even better for me. So now I've taken the SAS data, I've inserted it into Excel, I'm applying Excel formulas on this data, I'm navigating through the data with filters, and I'm sorting it. It's like the best of both worlds. You get the data from SAS, but the spreadsheet capabilities of Excel. So now that you've seen how you can get your data from SAS over into Excel, what if you want to do the opposite? What if you have data in Excel that you want to get into SAS? You can use SAS for Microsoft 365 to do that, and I'll show you how. Let's go back and look at this report, and we'll look at this marketing spend object over here. Let's put that in the worksheet so we can see it nice and big. All right, we'll stretch it out. We'll update it. And we can see that the data for this only goes up through March of 2022. I've got the latest data for this, and I want to get it into CAS so that I can update my report and show the latest data. So let's go look at that data that we have. I've got it in a hidden worksheet here. We'll pop that out, and now we can see we've got the original data plus these new rows that we want to show. So if I have my cursor selection inside of this data, I can click on Upload Data, and we'll open an Upload Data dialog in the task pane. We automatically expand to include the entire range of cells in that table. If you had selected a rectangular region of cells, we would just have those cells listed here. We'll also show you the different columns that we found in your table. And if you click on those, you can edit the information about them, such as you can change the name, you can add a label, you can change the length or format of the data. Everything is as I need it for this report, though, so I'll just leave it as it is, and I'll click Upload. At this point, we will show you all of your SAS compute libraries that are defined where you might want to write this data. But I want to get this data into CAS, so I need to see my CAS libs. So I'll click on this button here, and we'll generate a CAS session and make SAS librefs for all of your CAS libs. This lets me find the public CAS lib down here, and when I click on that, I see all of the tables that are in that CAS lib. I could create a new table if I wanted to, but since I know this report is already looking at this data set here, I just want to update that data set. So I'll click Save As. Since we're writing new data over that data set, it prompts me here, and I say yes, and now that data has been updated. So we can look at the report here. We can see it's used to just show through March. Here it's only showing the same. If I go up and choose to reopen the report, this will reopen with the latest data, the data we just uploaded. And you will see it goes through September now. And if I update this in the document, our chart here updates automatically. So with just a couple minutes worth of work, we were able to take our data from Excel, upload it to SAS, and then reopen our SAS Visual Analytics reports to see the latest data right here without ever leaving Excel. That's what I have to show today. Sasha, would you like to close us out with a summary?
Thanks for that amazing demo, Tim. So by now, I'm sure you're all wondering, how do I get my hands on this awesome product? Well, the good news is SAS for Microsoft 365 is available with SAS Visual Analytics on SAS Viya, and all it takes is a few steps to get started. First, SAS for Microsoft 365 uses the same governance model that already exists in your Viya environment to determine who has access to SAS content like Visual Analytics reports or SAS data, so no additional security configuration steps are necessary. To make SAS for Microsoft 365 available as an Excel or Outlook add-in, a SAS admin would need to customize manifest files for your specific SAS Viya environment and then deploy those files in Microsoft 365. Updates to a few environmental properties in the SAS Viya environment are also required to make sure that SAS for Microsoft 365 runs smoothly. So how do your users start working with SAS in their Microsoft applications? In most use cases, the add-ins are admin managed. So once SAS for Microsoft 365 is deployed, users will see the new SAS tab on their Excel or Outlook ribbon immediately. Or they can load the add-in using the Admin Managed tab of the Office Add-ins interface. As you can see from the GIF on this slide, it really does just take a few clicks for someone to get up and running. So you've just seen how you can get the best of both worlds by accessing the power of SAS directly from your favorite Microsoft applications. Whether it's embedding SAS content into your Excel worksheets or PowerPoint presentations, or sharing insights from SAS with your colleagues via Outlook, SAS for Microsoft 365 expands the reach of analytics to help everyone in your organization work together and achieve better business insights. I hope this demo has inspired you to discover how SAS can take your Office documents to the next level. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.